is up? What is up? There's going to be some people joining us right now. We have the Red Village team live on Metaverse Gaming's Twitch channel. Hello to everybody. I'm going to go a little rounds. You obviously know me, D'Artagnan, Brandino, and MJ. But please, gentlemen, introduce yourself and your role on the Red Village team.
Start with Brendo.
Start with Brendo.
Mate.
Yeah, don't all jump at once, mate. So my name's Brendan. I look after communications for us here at the village, and I put out most of our articles and write announcements, do marketing, and also think of the lore behind what we're building as well.
My name's Lucian. I'm the overarching program director for the Red Village, so overseeing pretty much all operations and day-to-day stuff, sort of I guess captain of the ship kind of thing.
And I'm Atam. I'm in charge of I handle the tech side and the gameplay as well. And between us, we're the three founders here.
Awesome. So this project has been on our radar now for a few months. We've all participated in both of your drops, which, by the way, hats off to you boys. Your first original drop with the whitelist that went out and then the blood portals, that was very seamless. It was just so smooth. It went really well. It was very refreshing coming from the previous drops that we had at Zed Run that we participated in. And this is no shade at them. It just, it just was so nice and refreshing to have such a clean drop. And we've been in the game for a couple months and really excited to get after some questions and to hear your guys' point of view about the game and where the game's going and really excited for this. So thank you three for being on here.
No, of course, thanks for having us. And yeah, I mean, we like the first drop. Absolutely, we were super stoked on that. It went down obviously super smoothly and went really well. And we've been minting stuff in NFTs for a long time now, and totally get the frustrations, right? Like like going back and minting like MotoGP and Zed in the early days and all this sort of stuff. And we've certainly seen like how easy it is to get frustrated in these kind of experiences. And now being on the other side, totally understand as well the level of technical complexity behind doing these things. It's like insanely hard. The amount of people that we have doing this and coordinating stuff around the world to get it is really like staggering, and you just don't have any idea, I guess, from the consumer side, and I didn't certainly until we came in here. But yeah,
you guys have got it easy. You're from North America, right? And doing in Australia, bloody like NBA Top Shots mints at like 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m. and stuff like that.
Brutal.
That's
so sorry.
Adds a layer of complexity for sure.
And I can tell from the accent that you guys are Aussies. So I would say that the NFT space and just the metaverse in general seems to run on American time.
It does.
It definitely does.
We certainly do. Yeah.
We do as well.
Yeah. That's our body clocks are just straight up on New York and LA time right now. That being said, there's a lot of big projects coming out of Australia too, and we're finding that more and more. Like it's certainly become like a little epicenter of crypto activity, which is really good because we are hearing more and more Australian accents on the phone when we jump on calls with people, and that's really exciting too.
Love it. So it's just amazing because I've seen so much talent as well from Australia. We've participated in a couple of other NFT projects. For example, Quirky's is from Centribus. He's a long-standing Aussie and a Zedrun content creator, and he also made Wizard Treasure Collective. And there's just massive Aussie audiences that we find in NFT space, which is really refreshing because I haven't found an audience. I've been playing games for a long time, and I've been participating in multiple different communities previous to coming into NFTs, and I just haven't found a large Aussie presence. And it's so cool though to see like this whole world and so many dynamic communities coming together in Web3, and it's amazing.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, it's the future.
Such a metaverse space, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, right? You build a third place that doesn't matter if you're in America or Canada or England or Australia, and you're all interacting on the same level. So that's one of the things that draws us to us. It's the great leveler.
It just absolutely destroys my sleep.
Yeah.
Everyone's always awake.
Oh yeah, man.
I don't think the NFT market sleeps at all. I think it's literally constantly. I think one night Brandino and I were in a project and we bought, and overnight I lost like 0.6 ETH, and I was like, what happened? I went to sleep. 6 hours.
Now I had to go to sleep. There's no
rest
sleeping.
for the wicked, man. You gotta
No
be on
sleeping
it
NFTs.
in this world. You
But then
gotta.
you get the other side of that where you wake up and you've gone up 0.6. So that's where it comes. You know, it balances
That's
back
always a
out,
nice
you
one.
know.
Making
I
money
did this
while you sleep.
overnight. Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, gents, and everyone who's watching, thank you again for coming on. Today is going to be an AMA, Ask Me Anything from the crowd. And we also have some questions from Metaverse Gaming for you boys. And really excited for the Red Village, by the way. I can say this, like Brandino, me and MJ, we aped in, especially after the first drop. We really enjoyed the graphics. We enjoyed how much your team communicates, and you're very active on the Twitter, on socials, and that's very refreshing coming from watching other games and other platforms not be very communicative to their community via like Twitter and Discord. That your guys' ability to stay abreast on these things and to basically always be able to have the pulse of your community, I think it's very vital, and it's a very great sign of a good project going forward. So hats off to you, gents.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
man.
And I think that's kind of our ethos, right? Community has to come first in this space. It's flipped the whole way that business is done. The communities are built, the projects are run, the games will function, because you have a direct line 24/7 with us, and we're accountable to anyone that's in our project, and we're also aiming to deliver for everyone in our project. And that's in the end, the community will define the most successful projects. The game is important, and of course everything else is important, but the community, the strength of the community, like our community, I'm in a lot of Discords, and our community I think is definitely one of the strongest. It's most cohesive, but like just fun, right? It's good spirits in there. People are like genuinely hyped and love talking to each other in there, and that is just for me the strongest pillar you could have of an NFT project. If I was looking, that's what I would be looking for, is who
Absolutely.
has got genuine evangelists and genuine believers in that. And that's you can't ignore your community. But yeah, I could talk about that all day, but that's like the number one: communications and community, for sure.
Absolutely. I know that with Metaverse Gaming and especially a lot of the people that we are with in the Zedrun community, we just got off a call with the Zedrun team just like 2 hours ago, and it was a lot of heated things and a lot of great praise and things like that. But the community is so passionate about trying to make a change and trying to ensure that the project goes and aligns itself with the community. And Zedrun is very good as well at talking these things with us. And for just seeing you guys and joining this stream shows another light of like, okay, this is a great project. They're wanting to communicate. They're wanting to have talk with their community and just like align with what they're seeing. And so it's a breath of fresh air, guys. Absolutely love it. But let's get to the questions. Let's get to some of these questions. I think
let's do it. Can I drop the first one?
Yeah, drop the first one, Brandino.
All right. So in the other AMAs, y'all wait usually towards the end for alpha, but we're gonna just hit it out front. All right. Because you guys have
Spring it.
You guys did a little teaser about this blood portal announcement for merch. Do you guys have anything to say on that?
I'm gonna let Brendan have the stage on that one because it's been his initiative, and I don't want to steal his thunder.
Oh man, I'm not sure that there's thunder to steal. I mean, I guess it's certainly the temperatures are dropping in the southern hemisphere. There things are heating up north, and we're trying to find a balance that everyone's going to need. Let's just say you're going to need to look fresh when you battle, right? You don't want to be sitting around in, I don't know, Matan, a grey t-shirt that looks like it comes out of the Vinny's bag. You want to look fresh. You want to look fresh. So we're going to try and keep the blood portal holders looking fresh while they're fighting. As a battle master, you need to represent, and that's something hopefully that you'll be able to do.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Keep them warm, keep them fresh.
Awesome.
Let's go.
I think we might have lost Brandino there.
Yeah, I think his head.
He's so stoked that he's frozen.
Yeah.
You might need some good merch. You might
Definitely need some
merch.
merch. Yeah, you need some power.
Wake up, man.
We'll see if he comes back, but we'll continue. Something this is something that I had an idea about, guys, and I wanted to ask you. Talking about the ability to possibly put things onto your players. Have you thought of, when it comes to factions, like having like guild tabards, or like the idea of having to represent your faction in the tournaments to come, like a Metaverse gaming faction where we have a bunch of people in our Discord that join us and we fight in tournaments together. Have you thought about like the idea of guild tabards, like you've seen like with World of Warcraft before? And like something where like Cool Cats could rep a tabard versus Gutter Gang could have their own tabard, these kind of things, because it's sort of along the lines of the merch, but like the in-game merch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, look, it's definitely
sorry,
something.
I was on mute. I can jump in and answer that if you want, Brendan. I was trying to, and then I found I was on mute. Yeah, we're definitely looking into this. It's a huge opportunity for us for in-game, potentially on or off chain. We're not sort of sure yet, but having in-game reward and having in-game cosmetic is certainly on the roadmap for possibilities. We announced just last week, actually, in like a little sort of alpha drop in our general chat, that we're planning on looking at rewards and having like a badge system, so trophies for doing certain tasks or completing or accomplishing certain achievements. And then, those would also potentially, we're looking at, this isn't firm yet either, pooling those together to give people like a legendary champion status. So you would have that sort of flex, I guess you could call it, in game, where there'd be some form of representation of that. And it would be quite a challenging task to get that legendary status, but when you do, it's almost like the blue tick on the blue tick on OpenSea or the blue tick on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, right? It's kind of gives you that verified status of being a bit of a badass and kind of known in the area for kicking ass. So that's kind of like what we're looking at this point for around that, but it's not super firm just yet, but we're kind of plan to bring that forward, sort of thing.
Awesome. I like that idea. The legendary status being a blue check mark, basically walking around. I think Doofy might get that one, and a couple of the OG Zetters who are used to this PDE environment. They have a bit of a leg up with their gameplay, but that's what they use MJ for. MJ, I don't know if you boys know, but he's a third-party tool maker, and we're so happy to have him on the MVG team. And he makes third-party tools for Zedron, for analysis and Footium and stuff like that. And what do you guys think? This is my question. How do you guys see integration of third-party tools like to be able to analyze your champions in the future? Are you guys talking with anybody about that? Is that in the works? Okay.
It certainly is. Yeah, we're talking to the guys from Know Your Horses at the moment, of doing sort of Know Your Champions variation, and they're sort of well underway with development on that. We're talking to the guys at Hawku for the marketplace Hawku, potentially around bringing that in. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And then also we're sort of having early discussions. Matan and I have been discussing, having our API be open and free to all, so that people can actually build these third-party tools themselves and not have sort of a limited access point to it, and just be fair to everyone, and not give any advantages to anyone by having access to information before others do, and these sorts of things. So it's not that there's an advantage in game at all with that, but like people have concerns about these sorts of things, right? And there might not be realistic concerns, but it's just sort of alleviating any of that pressure that we might have around that, even if it's false or true, right? So yeah, we're kind of looking at having a bit of an open API system to give people the ability to call and reference data a little easier and things like that, and they can build tools from it and whatnot.
Awesome.
If that answers your question.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, with Ryan and Tyler are great guys from Know Your Horses. We're just on the call with them just a minute ago. Great dudes, absolutely killer at analysis and at creating their own tools. They're always, I swear, they're always like right online with any update that happens. They just like they're catching it. So that's great that you guys have some legendary powerhouse guys like Know Your Horses, possibly working on a third party tool in the background for you guys to help analyze. And MJ, you're next on the question train.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of go to one of your more recent announcements and talking about browser rendering issues. And kind of the way that I understood it is that the game files themselves were a little too big to render on the browser. So I like to, in my world, like to just grossly oversimplify that by saying it's like you're running with unminified JavaScript and HTML and your images aren't optimized, kind of a thing. One, do you think that's kind of a fair assessment? And then 2, when these optimizations are done, will anything change to the gameplay? So any timing differences, any graphical fidelity changes?
Certainly, yeah.
What will that look like? And then I've got to possibly follow up after.
It's not really my forte. Our game dev team are obviously taking on this, but I've kind of learned a lot in this process through them and living vicariously through them and sort of watching what they do and asking a lot of questions. So I'm by no means an expert and take what I say somewhat with a grain of salt, but it's sort of straight from the source. But we're sort of looking at obviously trying to achieve maximum exposure across multiple different variations of computing power. So, some people are on 10-year-old MacBooks and some people are on gaming PCs, and we have to obviously cater for all crowds in our game performance. And being WebGL, there's sort of like a 20 megabyte sort of safe zone that you want to kind of operate in when sort of using WebGL. And we were kind of over that a little bit and sort of, confidently thinking that we would be okay, and sort of teetering on the line of risking it a little bit and, just trying to get that sort of Diablo 3-ish quality game into a WebGL platform. And we just kind of weren't there with the process that we had. And so we're looking at we're definitely looking at now streaming in assets. So having that be a capability, it kind of opens up and frees up a lot of space in, enabling you to have better looking, visual effects for special moves and, having and then obviously there's some optimization to come from that as well. So streaming the assets is the first thing we're doing now, and we've sort of mixed that up. And then optimizing what we have. We had like 2K quality graphics on like some of our environments and stuff like that. It's just like PS5 stuff, which, it was ambitious and like what we were sort of striving for. But at the end of the day, it's great if it works, but it's important for it to work on most machines. And if we can only really hit 1 to 2-year-old laptops, it sort of misses the mark a little bit. So to answer your question and bring it back to if it will change graphical fidelity, it will, but it won't be affecting it negatively, if that makes sense. So it will reduce file sizes, and you can there are a whole bunch of compression techniques and stuff that you can use to optimize, and streaming in assets is one of them. And then in addition to that, looking at character models and taking out textures that aren't necessarily we had bloody teeth, we had bones and fingers, we had 2K eyeballs in the character models. They literally had PS5 eyeballs. We're talking about a game where you barely see them closer up than sort of the teaser that you saw. That was as close as you're going to get. So and then on top of that, there were a couple of things that we wanted to fix up in the process as well. I wasn't super happy with our placeholder visual effects that we had at the time, so I wanted to try and mix those up and get some better quality special moves in. The animations were just a little bit stiff. Obviously, we sort of slapped those together just to give you guys a bit of an example of what we're working on. But they were by no means obviously final, and so there were just a couple of bits and pieces that we weren't absolutely sold on being sort of premium grade quality for our release. And so we're just sort of fixing those issues up, and not really issues, but just enhancing what we're doing a little bit. And in the process, just we've added in a couple more locations or maps. So we've got a few surprises coming there.
Anything you want to share about those?
I
figured I'd try.
Yeah, we can share one. I sort of dropped it in the general chat. The boys, a couple of the guys in the general chat have been asking for us to build them a tavern where they can sort of drink after the fights virtually, as a bit of a joke. And I thought, why not have a brawl in the tavern? So we decided to make one of the maps a sort of big beer hall, like a Viking beer hall
so
type
cool.
thing where you can kind of just brawl in the middle of this tavern. So that's one of the maps. I won't sort of share the other one, but I think everyone was sort of. I spoke to a couple of the guys in general chat last week around that, and they were pretty hyped about it. But just the kind of like the Red Wedding, but in a tavern, sort of Game of Thrones-esque, just beating the shit out of each other in a bar.
Love it,
which is always fun. So yeah, just back to the sort of question, I guess where we're going with it is, we're just optimizing, and quality is of the utmost importance to us. And this is the first iteration of our tournaments, right? We're going to continue developing and growing and improving upon our base that we have. This is our base product. It's our MVP, our minimal viable product. But we'll be releasing new versions of tournaments. We're going to rebuild tournaments from scratch, a couple months into launch. And then produce a V2 of tournaments so that they're even better, with a whole new game engine and these sorts of things. So, I haven't sort of told people that, but it's just kind of as expected, right? Like you release a product and it's not a final product. When you're a live project like ours, things change every day and you continuously improve and update. And we'll be doing that for the life of TRV.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
That's
Appreciate
some great alpha. We have Tavern Alpha, everybody. It's so cool. Like Red Wedding-esque. That's so cool.
Yeah,
I'm
so
excited about that. MJ, your follow-up?
Yeah. Well, I honestly, you already kind of answered it. Just talking about the future of graphical fidelity changes. You talked about, new engine, iterating over and over, rebuilding things and building off your MVP. So, I mean, that's honestly just fantastic to hear, and just super, super exciting that, hey, this is just the beginning. This is just the tip of the spear, so to speak.
Yeah,
and
we're like
going
babies, man. We're going to be adults one day, right? So at this point, it's like it's the literal beginning of our journey. And if you knew half the things we know, the things we've been dealing with lately, you'd be even more hyped. There's just so many big things that we're working on behind the scenes that no one even knows about. And I'm not sort of just saying that to sort of tease out, but we're equally as stoked, if not more stoked, than you guys.
Let's go.
Awesome. I love to hear that. I think my next question is going to be around the incubator, the Decentraland incubator. And can you guys speak more about that and how it affects the current game timeline? And do you have another ops team working on this? Can you speak to the Decentraland incubator at all?
Yeah, I mean, with that, so that's look, that's early stages. So we've obviously we won, which is great, and we've had some great chats with the Decentraland team around the prospective things that we can do. We haven't sort of finalized in exactly what we are going to do. So look, it's not high priority. Our priority is certainly getting the Red Village tournament modes up and running at the best possible potential there, and that's where we're dedicating our resources. Decentraland will come, the sandbox, we have a similar sort of thing going on with the sandbox, that will come as well. We're very much invested in these metaverses as the future of gaming, and we certainly want to, stress that we are very romantic about that. But we don't want to divert any resources to building a Decentraland just yet. And we're sort of mapping out with them exactly what we can do, and we've got some ideas about an event space and stuff like that we've sort of talked to them about. And one of the cool things about working with Decentraland, we get to have quite a lot of FaceTime with Justin, who's the COO over there, and he had 12 years at Jagex, so looking after RuneScape. So it's no secret that we have we're trying to pay homage to RuneScape with a lot of stuff that we do, and so it's really good to have a bit of FaceTime with someone like him who you can't really get much more intimate with the knowledge of the product and behind the scenes with them. But yeah, we're probably more to come on Decentraland. Don't hold your breath. It's certainly something we're working on, but priorities are certainly getting the tournaments out and running first.
Awesome. I mean, I love that you guys at least have that forward map of where you want to go, and you're planning how you're going to integrate into the current metaverse spaces. But also you're focused on the number one thing, which is gameplay, game design, launching of the tournaments, getting people into the play to earn economy, and building that out, because that fundamentally is probably the most important thing. So I like to see that your team is focused on that, and that's a breath of fresh air, right? The second thing I would come up with, and it's a question that we had in the private chat, was integration with your partnerships. Because you talked about Decentraland and Sandbox and these metaverses, but I saw BioPills. Are you guys looking at possibly being a part of the Bioverse and having some sort of interplay in there with the BYOP? Is that something that could be on the map, or is that just in terms of overall assets, you might make some new champions that look like them, or how does that partnership play out with BYOP?
Yeah, I think, look, we're never going to say never to anything. And we really value all of our partnerships in the space, and all of our partnerships, we're very strategic with, who we want to align ourselves with and people that we believe have, you know, a huge future, but also that just have the right, I guess, you know, ethos around what we're all building. So look, you know, we haven't really explored what it could look like, but I think there's certainly some synergies in what, you know, they're doing, and they're undoubtedly going to be one of the biggest games on the blockchain. Like, you know, hats off to what they're building, the community they're building, and, you know, the vision that they've got. You know, we definitely take cues from them. And then, yeah, of course, you know, we sort of have, you know, a bit of a side chat with them as well. But, you know, nothing that we could firm up at this point in time, but we'll never say never. When, you know, if the right thing comes at the right time, I think we'd certainly be, you know, certainly open to discussing it for sure.
You know, it's great though that, you know, you guys have some Z affiliation, which is like probably one of the largest, if not the largest, player in game out there, and one of the longest track records. And then also you have BYOP, which is a blue chip game coming out that I'm excited about. We're also part of BYOP and really excited to stream it, play, have fun inside of the Bioverse. And that just having these people associated with your project and seeing your guys' vision, because I know it took a lot of work behind the scenes, right, for you guys, and they got to see, you know, where you're going with this and your guys' great map and vision. So it's so cool though to see these things align. And this is actually one of the things that caught our attention with the Red Village originally. Was especially, I think it was Zedrun, was with Doofy and Zedrun. So love that though. I love it. It shows a strong project, especially with your community and the evangelists that we can see within it. It's just a really great overall project going forward. The next question I have, and we have a couple more, is
probably just to touch on that as well. I think that, you know, just before to interrupt you, but, you know, it's something that's really cool about this space is there's a really collaborative element. Everyone is, you know, trying to build and pull each other up, because in the end, like, we know that this is very early days for the space. And I think everyone knows that. And the more people that start coming into it and legitimizing it and giving it credibility, and the more the bigger players come in as well, that's great for us. You know, we don't consider any of that as like a threat. That's certainly just an opportunity. And, you know, it's one of the coolest things is that people are willing to work. And, you know, big shout out, obviously, Zed, you know, we work quite closely, you know, on some things with them, and we give them, you know, they're one of the pioneers in the space, like you say, one of the biggest players. And the benefit that we have coming in is we've got hindsight. You know, we can see, there's a lot of learnings from a lot of projects, and we can leverage those to make sure that we do things in a slightly different way if we need to. And, you know, I think that's been, people have recognized that, which is great for us, right? Like, you know, we've had some, you know, Phantom Galaxy's another partner of ours. You know, they're going to be one of the biggest AAA games on the blockchain, right? And that's huge. And so just getting this wealth of knowledge and access to these founders and what they're doing is like invaluable for us as a team. And, you know, even with the sandbox, obviously Sebastian, one of the founders over there, is, you know, a strategic advisor for us now too. And so we've just got, you know, just access to the best minds in blockchain gaming, which is just really exciting for us, you know, because we know what we know, but there's so every day is new things, right? Like, we're just like, whoa, where did that come from? And someone else might know. We can always just reach out. Like, our Rolodex is looking pretty healthy, which is awesome, you know, for the project.
So, Brandino, can we hear your audio real fast? I know you have a question about the gameplay.
There he is.
See if he's back.
Perfect timing.
Back.
He's flying around. He's flying around the States right now, on working, doing his normal job. So he's out of hotel rooms a lot of the time for our streams. So,
right.
Brandino, are you there? Can you hear us? But the question Brandino raised was about the class system. So we saw your class system, and, you know, we haven't seen how it's going to work or play. But like similar to the Zed has the idea that where you can sandbag or you can tank horses, right, where they fight or they race, right? And like if they lose class points, and they go down in classes. They win, they go up in classes. Is there going to be a capabilities of this in the Red Village in terms of like who they fight or fighting style, that would allow for, you know, the ability to go up and down in the class system, based on your player?
Yeah, that's definitely one up my alley. So this is something that we've struggled with as well. The game, obviously, you're in a position where you can improve your champion's odds by choosing the correct fighting style. But anytime where you can improve their odds, you can just do the opposite and you know, you do the opposite. it's a tricky balancing act of saying that, yes, if they wanted to play their champion poorly, then the champion can be worse. So it's a matter of trying to balance the algorithm along with how we break up the classes to try to disincentivize people. So there's a few different things that we're playing with. This first iteration, like we've said, I think a few times, is really just the first kind of stepping stone. We've got a lot of ideas that we'd like to try to play around with, and so it will evolve with time. A few of those things that I just kind of touched on is how we break up the classes, as well as incentivizing people to want to play in the higher classes for bigger rewards, whether that's financial or otherwise. There's a lot of things that we can do there. But the bottom line is, any game that you play where you can play better, you can choose to play better, then you can choose not to play better as well. So there's just that balancing act that we're striking as well. But there are a lot of thoughts being put into how to avoid a situation like Zed is suffering from, where a lot of really great horses are racing in shitty races, coming down levels just so they can win again. But yeah, it is a tricky one, but absolutely something that we're clued into and working around.
I like to hear that, because this class 1 horses, we're talking, some of these horses are $20,000-$30,000 as assets. They don't race because there's no one up there, and so there has to be a way to incentivize the C1 gameplay over in the class 1 gameplay versus the class 4 and 5 gameplay, because the flagships and the big dollar races is really what's going to be bringing in crowds for entertainment in the future, and that more aligns itself with the actual race horse world, where there's the Triple Crown, like the Kentucky Derby, and so that makes a lot of sense to incentivize the higher class fighting. And I like to hear that you guys are thinking about these things, and that this is on your radar, and this is something that you're building into the gameplay. It's brilliant.
Yeah, again, that's
something. Oh, go ahead, Brendo.
Oh, look, I was just going to say, that again, that's something that we spend a lot of time doing. Again, it's that benefit of hindsight, and there's a lot of projects with a lot that we can learn from, and we always endeavor to do our best to do that. And our summoning protocol, I think, was pretty well received by the community for some of the learnings that we've had of other similar projects, and where some of the frustrations lay, and trying to address those. And that's something we'll always endeavor to do. And things change, right? And but we're always going to do our best to make sure that we learn from the information that's available to us.
And this jumps back again to having Discord and direct access to our community and their reactions to everything, right? So, not just are we very involved in the dialogue in the general chat, but we've got a suggestions channel as well. So, it's full of great ideas. Our team is big, but it's certainly not as big as our community. So any thoughts that they have, any improvements that we might do, we look into all of them. I literally have a spreadsheet that we go through, and we discuss every single thing that goes up there. So it just goes back to that whole community, reacting to the community.
Speaking, kind of a follow-up question I have, speaking to Zed, and if you hit the track and you've got a Z26 and you see a Z1 on there, you're like, oh, RIP, I'm done. There's no way I'm winning this one. Very, very small chance. So would an R6 be able to beat an R1? Is that something that you guys are working in? Is that oh my gosh, stay away? Or is that something that could be kind of feasible?
It's absolutely feasible. Look, that's one of the big things, and this is very, very kind of open in the community as well, is that we've built the game in such a way that there are incentives to being early. There are benefits to having, an earlier R number, an earlier bloodline, but it is not the decider of who's going to win the fight. In fact, far from it. The whole concept of the way that we've built it out, with Zed, you'll find you have diminishing returns as you breed horses. You'll go further down the line, and just like you said, you get further down those Z numbers, they do tend to be worse horses. With ours, we're going the other direction with it. If you bring together a couple of good champions, there's a good chance that the summon champion will be, well, I wouldn't say good chance, but there is a chance that the summon champion will be able to beat the champions that summoned it. That's a big part of the way that we've planned the game out. Absolutely. So there's absolutely incentives to holding those pure blood champions, in terms of, I mean, we could go into it, but there's a long list. Sure. But they will not forever be the strongest fighters in this world, not by a long shot.
I love that. Incredible. I love that. That also speaks to the fact that as you expand, as the game gets bigger, onboarding people by selling, bred unblooded champions, hey, you could get the next best champion to fight in their highest class and the biggest prize pools. And that's something that I think speaks to the longevity of the game and also keeps it where it's dynamic. There's going to be different styles of play just because of what's been bred down the lines and what people are seeing that works or doesn't work. And that's amazing, because that really is going to give your game gameplay into perpetuity. That's awesome.
Thank you. That's the thinking. Yeah.
You're certainly incentivized to fight your champions. You know, you're incentivized to play the game. And you're incentivized to learn your champions, and you know, we want to make sure that this is as dynamic as possible. And again, you know, similar games, we've seen what's happened, and you know, sometimes there's things that can't do the equivalent of fighting because there's not competition and stuff like that. So we want to try and make sure that it's always something that people can, you know, as battle masters, get the value out of all of their champions. And yeah, of course, there's huge value in having, you know, obviously, you know, Genesis and R1s and you know, all this sort of stuff. Like, there's some really cool, you know, breeds, and you know, there's cosmetic traits, and obviously there's fighting traits as well. So there's a few things. And then, you know, I mean, we could talk all day on this around, you know, like polished armors and you know, this sort of stuff that can come from as well. But yeah, there's we've thought of both angles for sure.
Brandino,
there he is.
Can you ask your question?
I literally was this is like the most exciting stream of this game, and it broke everything. My audio device wasn't working. My camera was going I don't know, but yeah, I definitely have a question. It's gonna be a little bit different than probably questions you've gotten before. What would be a strat? So we like to onboard people to new games. Whenever we go out and talk about games, we're like, how can we get them into the game? So what would you guys think a good strategy would be for someone to just kind of get into this game right now? Like, what approach would you go? Would you go for those higher R1s? Maybe just get one? Would you maybe go grab 5 of those R6s at the floor? What would be a good strategy?
We can't really give you advice on that, mate.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I'm sorry.
I'd love
I
to, but
waited a
I
long
can't.
time to ask. I mean, yeah, and the reason for that really comes down to that would be, you know, we have a lot of insight that obviously you don't, and that would be us making a decision on the value of what's available. And we just, you know, that wouldn't be the right way to go about it. You know, it certainly the recommendation is just pick up whatever you can afford, whatever you can get into the gameplay. But something that I think we can comfortably say is that, you know, all these pure blood champions are going to be, you know, how do I say that they're going to be valuable without saying they're going to be valuable? I think they're going to, yeah, they will be collectible, right? These are a limited run. There will only be those 28,000. We haven't even released half of our pure blood champions. So anything that's available right now is going to be very unique in terms of, you know, where the game goes to in the future. Whether that's just because of its, you know, unique value or a lower R number or, you know, higher up the bloodline levels. I think everything that's on the market now, I think is a pretty good way to enter the game.
Yeah, pick like a champion that you like the look of, you know, like that's at the moment, that's all that there is to it, right? Like, and if you know, like we've got people that are like, yeah, I'm all about the elves, and then people that are like, you know, I'm orcs or whatever, and that's cool. Like you find something that you really identify with, and that's the best way to do it.
I love it. Brandino, unfortunately, your question couldn't be fully answered, but I like the answer. Does that make sense? Like, you guys are like, hey, like, we can't give you guys like pro tips to have a leg up because it would be, you know, against like your guys' ethos, right, and your ethics. And so that's actually a really good answer. So it's like, okay, so like you guys, that I like it. So just
it's strictly not financial advice.
Yeah.
Always
not.
We do our best, like to not know the things that we don't need to know as well, and that's probably like another point. You know, like when it comes to like the finite details of all of this, like I literally don't know, and Lucian doesn't know, like some of the things that Matan has designed, because we don't need to know, and we're just reducing our ability for anyone to ever have any like, you know, the chance or like accusations of like fingerprints or anything like that. We've seen some other projects that have had some issues with stuff like that, and we just don't want to ever have that, you know, as an issue. So we're, you know, our ethos is like as fair as we possibly can. That's why we use Chainlink VRF for so much stuff, and that's why, you know, we're all about randomization, and you know, we're just like, we want to be above board with everything we do.
I love it. Chainlink absolutely has, I think, revolutionized the space. especially in May and June with what we were seeing with the Ethereum markets, and the company's built on top of ETH. So I love to hear that you guys have been utilizing Chainlink as well. Something that Brendan, you have a second question since you've been gone for half the stream with technical difficulties.
I mean, yeah, I was just going for a stump question. So honestly, because you're giving them to him easy, you know? No. So do you guys have? I guess one of my other questions was, how do you guys feel about the Mystic drop? You think you could have done? Do you think you're gonna take any like lessons from it for the next drop or anything like that? How do you guys feel about it?
I think it's pretty evident how we felt with our response to, giving everyone their gas back and stuff. What?
Matan, mate, I think Matan has a dog, and is it like it's like tearing down a
It's got shoes on.
It's having an absolute blast over there. Yeah, I'll mute myself.
Yeah, it's pretty evident how we felt about it. It was a less than ideal situation, and we felt pretty heartbroken that a lot of our core members missed out. Even our community managers missed out. So it's not the result anyone ever wanted, and definitely wasn't what we were setting out to achieve. And there's a lot of learnings to take from it. And the first thing is probably never underestimate the true potential of what the Red Village is and has. And then secondly, just sort of, I guess we need to forecast better and just be better overall. There's not much to say about it other than, we apologized profusely and gave back gas to people who lost out. And obviously, the first drop was smooth as butter. Like, it was probably the best drop of 2021. And we were hoping to follow that up with the same methodology and the same mechanics, and sort of missed the mark. I think in future, to combat that, we're probably looking at more whitelist heavy drops, kind of eliminating that risk to some extent. I'm not going to sort of give any firm particulars, but with our next drop that we do from an NFT perspective, it will be vetted a bit more closely, and we'll make sure that we kind of keep in mind that we need to reduce the botting angles and these sorts of things, and just make sure we reduce minimums and stuff like maximums and stuff like that down to reasonable limits, and whitelist appropriately and all this sort of stuff. So there's never a proven method. It's always a risk. You never know which way it's going to go, but it's becoming more and more evident as of late, meaning the last month or so, that not to say that we were attacked by bots, but bots are getting more and more involved. We did have a pretty good spread of members buying and stuff, but there were some in there. And I think, we now need to shift gears a little bit and move into a different concept and philosophy around it. But yeah, Matan, you might want to talk on that a little bit more, but it's just sort of, I don't think anyone was impressed by our last drop, and I think we all sort of learned the hard way.
I think, that the hardest part as well is just like, you nurture this thing, this project, and it's really hard to, as much as you've got an ear in the Discord constantly, to understand what everyone else is feeling. And the beauty of hindsight is obviously that it's 2020, but it's like, it's just hard to believe when everyone's telling you like, this is big, this is, people really want this, and it's like, do people really want this? Like, this is our thing. Like, we absolutely see the potential. Does everyone else? And I think now we really do believe that everyone sees what we see and is starting to understand, just the scope of our vision. But it's hard to fully sort of appreciate that. I think when you're working in this, every day for, better part of 12 months, like 16 hours a day, and it's hard to see past any noise.
Boys, unpopular opinion, but I thought your drop went well, despite the, just the early access and the bots. But I overall still thought that it went really well. I could admit, and I was pumping gas at 750. So if I couldn't do it and I couldn't snag, that meant there was a lot of other opportunity for other people, because people who had low gas were still getting it, and I wasn't, and I was pumping gas. So although I didn't win out with like a 14-minute, I also know people who got it for bare minimum, and that to me speaks well about just like, hey, like, it still went through, it went over. Your guys' response was great. giving gas back and responding to your community. I like that result. And then also for those after the mint happened, getting the whitelist for the next drop, if you did get burnt, I think that's a brilliant play, and it also shows that you can respond to adversity and you can still recognize the community. And that's something that, hats off to you guys. Like, this is a very difficult world right now. It's being built. Web3 is brand new. It's been around, but not in the ways of its integration today. And that's still, like, you guys are killing it. That's why we asked for the AMA, because we're like, yo, like, you guys are legit. We love this project. So
thanks, man.
I think the last question that we have we have two. Can you give any alpha on the Mystic Bones, on some of the, like, how Mystic Bones are going to be utilized? Will they be similar to the Blood Portals? Is there other, I guess, like, utility a part of the Mystic Bones?
Unmystify those bones.
Yeah.
They're unidentified.
Yeah. You go, Lucian. You go for it.
No, you go, mate.
No.
No, all right. So we can't really talk too much on that just yet. It's not finalized. We've got a couple of things that we're worrying about in priority, being getting the game launched. But what is to come for the Mystic Bones is super, super exciting. And it's the Easter egg within the Red Village. We kind of wanted to give a fun little play on, they're a useless pile of bones, but are they really? And so, there's more to come around it, and it is a huge tease, and I get that, and people are probably frustrated by it, but I think when the long wait finishes and they realize what they do, they'll be pretty stoked with it. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
Brendan, if you want to add to that, go for it.
The blood portals are the blood portals, and they'll always be the blood portals, and there won't be another blood portal. But the Mystic Bones still have fantastic, they're going to do something really cool. And, I released that article that sort of gave a few little hints in there, and I know there was a few people in the Discord that were sort of sleuthing through and trying to decipher it. And there's definitely some people came pretty much on the money at certain points. So just wait. I know it's annoying, and we hate to sort of release alpha that's not alpha, so that's why we kind of haven't spoken about it too much. But I'm excited for them. I'm excited for the blood portals. I think they're both really cool assets.
I just saw first photos, first images of the Red Village, the Village Tavern, the map, the tavern, and it looks very cool.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love the Alpha Tavern on here.
I want to share it with you guys, but I won't. We won't.
Come on.
Are you sure you don't want to do that?
Yeah.
Can I screen share, or is this
you can screen share.
Give me a second.
Oh shit! Is this happening?
Can't help himself. Just make sure everything else is shut there, Lucian. I don't know.
What other tabs have you got open there, man? This is like,
This is pretty dangerous.
This is really
I got a
dangerous.
lot of stuff open, but whatever. I'm a public guy.
I love it. We're about to see some. Let's see it. Oh my gosh. Here it is. Add the stream. Boom. Oh my.
Hey. Let's go.
Good, huh?
Wow.
That's sick.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Super dope. There's a lot of photos in there, but that's the entry. But yeah, that's
I love it.
I like
Let's
that.
go.
There can always be like in the future, like a little V2 where there's a bunch of bar people around there watching and stuff like that. Oh, dude, that's so cool.
Break some tables, throw some glasses.
There's gonna be.
School bar brawl, yeah.
It's honestly like that was the thing that was probably one of the most exciting things for the whole project for me. It's just building the bar, the tavern. But we'll obviously have future iterations on that. But I think it's pretty cool for the first version for sure.
Awesome. Yeah,
I love it. I love the bar
Sick.
fight.
Yeah.
So
Dope.
the last question, boys, and I don't know if you can answer this, and this is probably the question you were assuming we were going to ask, is when's the gameplay for the game going to come out? Is there a firm timeline yet? Is it close? Because I know that there were some issues, not in terms of like, the overall product. Is the product's great? It's just like you want to make sure, from what I heard, that it's like top notch, top gear, the best that you can put out first. And so I kind of wanted to know, is there any time on when we can start to fight our champions, start blooding them?
Yeah, we gave 3 weeks to the guys, as our announcement sort of suggested, and we're working. I'm pretty confident we're going to hit that. Like, we kind of gave ourselves a little bit extra. I don't want to, anything can happen in testing, obviously, but the last delay cost us over $50,000 US. So, we don't take that lightly. And, we gave back to the community in that sense that we put a 50K up for the, for 1,000 tournaments from the first sort of little launch period. So, that was to say sorry and apologize for the delay. So, we don't want to do that again. So we have forecasted what we believe to be enough time. So we're going for early for the end of the month, probably early March. Even it's only 28 days of Feb. And we're looking good. Like, I've sort of been told by the game devs that we should have some gameplay for the weekend, and then we've got a few little tweaks to make, and we're going to just keep polishing. And then we've got the Web3 testing to do, so end-to-end testing, which we've got Pella on that, so they're unstoppable usually. And I don't, Roy will probably kill me for saying this, but I don't foresee any issues with their team. They're just always on it. And we had to get rid of our last game dev because it just sort of wasn't where we wanted it to be, and we brought in this new guy this new team to sort of finish it off at over the next couple of weeks, and they're doing just an amazing job so far. So they're hugely competent and just impressing me every day. They just obviously put together that tavern for us with their extended team, and it's just crazy quality. So I'm really happy that we have them on our team. They actually worked on FIFA and a few other big projects. So
wow.
We're in great hands. So yeah, we didn't get rid of our game. They're working alongside one another, but he's sort of allowing these guys to come in and really get shit done, so to speak. So yeah,
I love that. I love the fact you brought in it wasn't what you wanted exactly, and you brought in some top-notch people, and that that's
necessary.
That's amazing though. I mean, you guys are responding to an issue, but maybe it wasn't an issue, but you just are making the product just that much better, and that's something that I love to hear. Your guys' dynamicness, you're able to adjust with the adversity, and just hats off to the TRV team. I would say this, I don't know where this looks like in 2 years from now or a year from now, but with the whole metaverse and with Darklands, I'm excited to have raiding and dungeons and things like that. And I know that's not currently because you need to build out the first product, but just the applicability and the utility of this project as it continues on and what it could become. I'm a OG World of Warcraft and RuneScape player. So I'm very, this is why I love this project. And I love the graphics and design as well, because I'm oh, dude.
No, it's definitely it was a much needed addition to the play to earn world, or the gaming sphere within blockchain tech. I think we're all kind of sick of little fluffy bunnies fighting each other. Let's see some Diablo inspired, Witcher 3 inspired, RuneScape inspired, really cool gameplay. We want some proper games, right? We're not children. We're all adults in this space. So, and I think there's just so much room for it and so much room for scope for improvement. And, just the long-term vision is just, incredibly exciting, which, there's more to come around that in the next couple of weeks. So, the exciting stuff that we're working on, we're just so eager to share. And I think everyone's going to be really, really hyped with what's coming soon. So
it's definitely massive. It's definitely massive. The undertaking you guys have done, the product that I've already seen from now, and I've been in a lot of different NFT projects just as an investor and in the communities. And, what I've seen is you guys are amazing at communicating. You're very much able to answer on your feet on things. And I'm very excited to see where this goes in the gameplay. And thank you all guys for coming on and answering our bit of round shot questions. And I hope and I appreciate you guys. I hope to see the game come out soon. Is there any last things you want to say to the community before we turn off the stream?
I think as always, thank you everyone that's taken time out of their day to come and listen to us chat. And we're really open. We're in the Discord. We're always around. So,
speak to you in an hour.
We're always there. Yeah, we'll see you in 2 minutes. But no, whereas we just want to we're as excited. We're more excited than anyone else, right? We're our own harshest critics, and we're our own biggest fans, and we're super excited at what we're doing, and just everyone that's coming along with the ride with us. You know, we're doing this. We're so doing this. It's unreal. Yeah.
So much to share, but there's a lot coming, and it's just exciting as hell.
That article that I released on Play and Earn Gaming, I think is, that's my ethos on the space, and I think the team shares it, and I think that's read between the lines, work it out, but that's where we're going, and I think we're in a really good position to do something pretty monumental in the blockchain world.
Love it. I love it. Thank you guys for coming on. We appreciate you answering some of the questions, answer questions from the community that we had sent to us. And just overall, guys, good luck. As always, keep your head above water in the metaverse. Don't let the trolls get you down. We're here. We're excited. We'll be streaming your guys' game. We'll be doing tournaments and inside, like head-to-head duels and stuff like that on our stream, like we do with Zedrun. And really excited for this launch, guys. So as always, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Guys. It's a pleasure.
Say bye to Brandino for us, who's dipped out again.
He has.